Come on, come on. Well, let me start off by just telling everybody good morning. I'm going to turn it over to Attorney General Greg Zoeller to start it off, and then we'll go from there.
All right, well, we're here today really to help close out a chapter that the Office of the Attorney General has been working on actually since before I was elected. So it's been a long, let's say, laborious effort, and I think the office had really focused on from the very beginning having transparency so that people would know what happened to the funds that were meant for the benefit, the economic development benefit of the citizens of East Chicago. The chapter in the history of gaming will record that there was one for-profit company that existed. We now have a new statute that eliminates that possibility, so there won't ever be another for-profit company using the revenue stream from gaming as the basis of local development agreement. So there were a lot of positives that happened as a result of this, including now what will be a full expose. So over the next few weeks you'll start to see some of the hundreds of thousands of pages that have been divulged through our legal efforts through discovery that will appear on a website. So that's not available just yet, but it will be in the future. So it takes a little while to produce this in a way that's searchable for people who want to know more specifically about what happened to the over $16 million that came through Second Century. But I think today I'm really here just to close the book on that chapter of East Chicago and really help the mayor celebrate kind of a new era, and one that I've, let's say, followed from a little distance, and I've been up here enough times to, let's say, have a personal interest in the administration of Mayor Copeland. And I told him, you might remember this, Mayor, when I first came up and met the new mayor at the time, that there's nothing in Title IV of the Indiana Code that structures the Office of the Attorney General. There's nothing in there that tells the Attorney General that I'm to trust anyone. So this is not a position where you trust people. You have an obligation to verify, and we work with the State Board of Accounts. We really do a lot of work to make sure that the citizens and their taxpayer dollars are spent correctly. But I will have to admit, some years later, that the mayor has at least personally developed, let's say, a bit of trust that I've started to personally feel, and at least the sense that he's regained some of the credibility, and I can see the City of Hope and Progress is going to be one that shows more of an accountability and a transparency that, frankly, I think is good for all governments. So I'm here really just to salute his efforts and to say that I've developed a bit of trust. It's still not in the code, but a little bit more trust in the mayor and the administration here in East Chicago. So,
Well, let me add to that. You did look me right in the eye and say, everyone there watching. But I can see why you sleep with one eye open and one eye closed, because when you look through the history of this deal that was put together, it saddens you that you can see $16 million, that $1 million to this person, $1 million, $1 million, and $1 million, and collectively a group could squandered away $16 million. It all depends on and whose eye that is watching. But then also when I look and see that the city of East Chicago couldn't even begin to sift through this, to even bring the transparency or bring it to the light of day, because literally I was humbled when they told me they had to actually go through 300,000 pages to sift through this, to do an audit, to look into all this. The city couldn't even begin to reveal that. But the one thing the city is willing to do is to say that it's spilled milk, and not only is it spilled milk, it done dried up. We have our eye on the future. We're not going to look backwards. We're going to accent the positive in this, and these are things that may have been revealed to be done and some element of darkness, and out of this it came to me that we will take the remnants of this settlement, which is $154,000. We will leverage it across another $154,000 of gaming, and we went through that saga of the accountability of gaming dollars, and so that would give a total of $308,000, and we're going to put this into a program to where we're going to offer motion detector lights. If y'all you get it? To where the citizens will be able to install these in their homes. This again will help aid in crime, dealing with crime. So, and it was the thing of take this motion detector program and something that was in darkness. If somebody come to do harm, well, they will reveal it to light. So it's symbolism there. And also out of this came with the transfer of the Second Century property over to the foundations of East Chicago, the city was able to, at the Washington Square site, garner a deal with the foundations of East Chicago to build new houses there. So we built new houses on the half of hemisphere that they didn't develop over there to the tune of $1.1 million, and we now have new home owners. So I guess if you want to say out of these type of harms that can happen to a city, can good come out of it? This is the good that has come out of it. And it closes a chapter that should never be opened again. And this is where, surrounded in the audience and next to me, is a crop of new leadership. We will be the guardians to protect the citizens by having open and honest government with full disclosure and transparency. And so, did something good come out of this? Yes, it did. Council President.
Another great day.
Do we dare ask for questions? I guess that's why we're here.
You said out of the 16 million, 6 million with some form of compensation for people. Now it says in here 3.5 million of net investments. Right? What exactly does that mean? You get net investments in quote some press release, and is that stuff that was, you would say, was legitimately spent for economic development?
Yes, that was when they built about 21 homes in that same Washington Square site. That's why I said half a hemisphere, like a brain. Half was built out and the other half wasn't. So that was the half that we acquired from the foundations of East Chicago, and we finished building on the other half of that site. So they did do development there. They also did development along the Michigan Avenue Guthrie corridor, where they did put homes in that area too.
And so that, I mean, that's basically a total of 9.5 million out of the 16. What was the other? Can you characterize that? 6 million?
Well, did you see on the back of the press release, there's kind of a one-pager that kind of outlines kind of categories of funds.
Okay, so there are things like office expenses and professional development, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know, these categories, I think when we start releasing the underlying documents, fees and legal fees and some of the professional fees. I'll leave it to others to look at where those went and who was involved. Again, I think the fact that the state of Indiana through the Gaming Commission had approved this deal really restricted the ability of my office to pursue this any further. So our goal had always been transparency, so everyone could see what happened and make their own judgment. But it is true that the fact that the state had approved this years ago, before I was even in the building, really limits the state from now trying to do more. So I've got to admit to at least a little frustration that this is as far as we could go. But again, it's a day to close the book and to look forward to the mayor's next chapter.
And also to add to that, I have to also reveal that the city also benefited. So because when they created a new LDA agreement, the foundations of East Chicago and the city of East Chicago split it, the Second Street portion. The city went from getting 1% to now getting 1 3/4%. So we got additional revenue from that.
That goes to the foundations of East Chicago, or to the municipality too? Or?
Yeah, we get 1 3/4 and they get 1 3/4.
Mayor, if I may, commend you for your leadership in this, and Attorney General Zoeller for following through on this. It could have been dropped very easily.
And I think you said, what, 8 years?
At least.
Longer than I've been in office.
But it is kind of mind-boggling when you see that $16 million netted $154,000.
Yeah.
Was this civil or criminal?
No, it's all civil, and frankly, the 154 was not a fine or a penalty. The court ordered, or at least the mediated settlement, had that amount, which was money that we had to spend to, let's say, put the books in order so that it could be released in public. So those are the funds that we're using for kind of a, let's say, at least a symbolic effort to close the book and hopefully invest in something better for the citizens up here. And again, we had really sought from the very beginning the open the books and have transparency, knowing that we may come to a point where we would be hampered in going any further just because we don't have criminal authority, for one thing. But the other is that it was a for-profit arrangement that was approved by the Gaming Commission at the time. So that was a real limiting factor in what we could do further. But no, I'll agree, color me disappointed.
And also to add that another good that came out of this, now all gaming proceeds must be appropriated by the city council. No, that was a time that wasn't the case. So that's another good thing, that no one gets a run on the bank anymore without it coming to full disclosure at a public meeting. So that's something else.
Say that again about the city council has to approve
All of the gaming dollars that come in.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Just to remind you, and of course you know this, but just to clarify that one of the other good things that happened was that during the course of the Attorney General's investigation, the city, through your efforts, Mayor, and with the cooperation of the Attorney General, the city was able, through some court orders, to intercept $10 or $11 million that would have gone
That was a big number, yeah, 11.7 million.
would have gone to the Second Century Foundation, but it was intercepted, and then as a result of modification of the local development agreement and the amendment of the legislation sponsored by the Attorney General, it went into a local development agreement fund and has now been leveraged and used by you for public works projects. I didn't want to forget. So that was money that would have gone and been misused perhaps, but instead went for the public good.
So you say, Joe, we should collectively say about $11.9 million.
Yes, sir.
Came out of this.
Sounds a lot better.
That sounds a lot better?
Okay, sounds real bad.
We were trying to separate the two. We felt one was a game issue and the other one, but you're right, Joe. They're conjoined twins when you look at this thing.
They wouldn't better know when to say quit.
Okay. Well, you had the perseverance not to cry off, so I guess we can't say quit.